These are the jobs you may not see every day, but just know we're working hard to make Hillsborough County a better place to live, work, and play. Subscribe to our YouTube page for more great county-related videos, only on HTV.
Flossing in the morning is a really great way to keep your teeth healthy and start the day. But when you're through, here's what you do. Throw it in the trash, don't flush it. There's a problem lots of people don't know, called sanitary sewer overflow. A condition buried deep in the ground, inside of pipes where bad clogs are found. It's a problem we can all help solve, so throw it in the trash, don't flush it. Baby wipes, bandages, cotton pads, paper towels, dental floss, clog up bad. Medicines, kitty litter, cotton swabs, hair. Throw them in the trash, don't flush it. It just takes a second to do the right thing, so toss it and let's keep our pipes clean. Throw it in the trash, don't flush it. If it's not toilet paper, don't flush it. Even if it says you can, don't flush it. If you're having any doubts, don't flush it. One more time, don't flush it.
"20 seconds is all it takes for a toddler to drown. In less time than it takes to post on social media or change the laundry, a child can slip out a door and silently drown. Nearly all the children who drowned last year in the Tampa Bay area were last seen inside their home. Visit PreventNeedlessDeaths.com right now to learn more about simple steps you can take today to save a child's life.
Tampa Bay is like no place else.
Wait, you can't recycle the bag. You have to throw it away.
Proper recycling keeps it that way for everyone. Bags tangle in machinery and can bring sorting efforts to a halt.
No bags.
Trash the bags and keep our recycling program moving forward.
No, Mom, look. No plastic bags.
Do your part to keep our recycling bag-free. Trash the tanglers or return them to participating retailers. For more information, visit tampabayrecycles.org.
Hey, the new house looks great. How are you liking it here?
Well,
You wouldn't expect this in your home.
What?
Why on earth would you do it in ours? Hillsborough County put waste in its place.
You know what I like about my morning commute? It's time to reflect. Ponder those big questions. Who are we? Why are we here? Sometimes you just gotta take those bumps in the road and keep on moving forward.
Dude, you couldn't possibly be any more wrong. Stop the car.
That's deep. Like me. I can respect that.
Dude, it's a pothole. I could report it to Hillsborough County right now as a customer service request. Just choose your service and select the issue. Your browser pinpoints the problem, and you can add any important information and even take a picture. It puts Hillsborough County at your service 24/7.
Well, all right.
Flossing in the morning is a really great way to keep your teeth healthy and start the day. But when you're through, here's what you do. Throw it in the trash, don't flush it. There's a problem lots of people don't know. called sanitary sewer overflow, a condition buried deep in the ground, inside a pipe where bad clouds are found. It's a problem we can all help solve, so throw it in the trash, don't flush it. Baby wipes, bandages, cotton pads, paper towels, dental floss, clog up bad. Medicines, kitty litter, cotton swabs, hair, throw them in the trash, don't flush it. It just takes a second to do the right thing, so toss it and let's keep our pipes clean. Throw it in the trash, don't flush it. If it's not toilet paper, don't flush it. Even if it says you can, don't flush it. If you're having any doubts, don't flush it. One more time, don't flush it.
Is your local business or organization looking to give back to the community? Help keep our roads clean by joining the Adopt a Road program administered by Keep Tampa Bay Beautiful. Keeping our roads clean is a great way for team building as well as exposure for your business. Select the road your business wants to adopt and dispatch a team to remove litter and debris. Participants will receive 2 signs showing their organization's name as well as safety equipment and instructions for cleaning roads. You can help keep Tampa Bay beautiful by adopting your own road today. To learn more, visit hcflgov.net/cleanhc.
Good morning. My name is Pat Kemp, and I'm chair of the HART Board of Directors, and welcome to the February 7th, 2022 regular Board of Directors meeting. The meeting format is hybrid. Quorum is physically present at County Center, 601 East Kennedy Boulevard, the 26th floor conference room, and the rest of board members are participating via communication media technology. At this time, please take a look at your screens, the screen of your devices where an image of the flag is displayed, and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And at this time, if we could please take a roll call.
Director Castor?
Present.
Director Frazier?
Here.
Director Hudson?
Here.
Director Johnson?
Here.
Director Kemp, or
Here.
Chair Kemp, sorry. Director Knight,
Here.
Director Myers,
Here.
Director Overman,
Here.
Director Schisler,
Here.
Director Smith,
Here.
Director Vieira,
Here.
Director Williams. Here. You do have a physical quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And with that, we will move to public comment on agenda items and general concerns. The rules for public comment participation are included in your packets. Is there anyone at this time who's signed up to speak in public comment?
No, Madam Chair, there was no one pre-registered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we have no public comment. And next, we will move to approval of the minutes. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Director Johnson, did you make that? Yes. Thank you. And Commissioner Myers is a second. And with that, can we please have can we vote? Are there any support for the minutes? Yeah, in support of the minutes? Yes. I wasn't going to do a roll call vote. Aye. Okay. Are there any objections to the minutes? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into the HART board appointments. And if we could, at the last meeting, the appointment was not made for the Transportation Disadvantaged Coordinating Board on the opinion of General Counsel, who suggested that we reach out about the meeting schedule. And we spoke about this. I spoke with General Counsel last night. We have no one that has expressed that they can do the meet with the transportation or as a HART member on the Transportation Disadvantaged Board at this time. The meetings, I looked into them, are Friday mornings at 9:30 every other month. That's when typically for me, both the TMA and the TBARDA are, that's when they have their usual meetings. So I didn't know if people were familiar with the schedule or I'll solicit again interest in or opportunity to join with this board. And if I don't have anyone who can avail themselves of that, we spoke to them and they were not willing to change the meeting time of the board. So I think what we may be able to do is contact them and Ms. LeGrand, perhaps we could have an appointee, we could look into doing what we have looked into doing for the MPO, which would be kind of a staff appointee to serve on the Transportation Coordinating Board. So we have some information about that. So I don't know if anyone has any, yes,
Chair?
Commissioner Gwen Myers.
Madam Chair, this is Gil Schussler. I
Oh,
will
yes.
volunteer to do it.
I'm sorry?
I'll do it. This is
Okay.
Gil Schussler.
Okay.
I can't raise my hand. I'm on a phone, so
Yes,
I
okay.
have to interrupt you. So I apologize.
Okay,
But I
no,
will do it.
that's great. And Commissioner Myers, I know that you
Yeah,
had.
because I'm chairing that board. If
I'm
it's the
sorry?
Same board. I'm chairing the Transportation Disadvantaged Coordinator Board through MPO. I don't know if
Oh,
it's a-
you already
Yes,
are?
yes.
Okay.
Although I'm not, sorry to interrupt, I'm not sure if Commissioner Myers is serving in her capacity as commissioner, she can also serve in the capacity of a HART board member. So I would recommend, if Mr. Schisler has indicated that he's available to serve, that we go ahead and without taking a vote, by ascension that he.
Your microphone isn't on.
I said, wait, can you not hear me?
Yeah, I had difficulty hearing you.
Is my microphone on now?
Yes, maybe if you pull it a little closer, that might be.
And also the mask. I apologize. Let me say what I just said again. I understand Commissioner Myers is serving in her capacity as a member of the Board of County Commissioners on the Transportation Disadvantage Board. I don't believe she can serve in the capacity as a HART board member as well. So since Mr. Schisler has indicated that he is available to serve, and unless anybody has any objections to that, then we should just, we could just take it by either we don't need a roll call vote, just if there's anybody in objection, and go ahead and have that for the purposes of the minutes.
Okay, thank you. So we have Councilman Chisler, who has agreed to represent HART on this. The Transportation Disadvantaged Committees are all in support. Say aye. Aye. And any opposition? Okay, thank you. And then we have the internal HART committee reports. Ms. Mandel, perhaps you could speak to this. What this is separate. The
Yes.
3 committees that we have that are, well, I'll let you speak to the whole item.
Sure. At our last meeting, when we were doing the appointments for the internal committees, a question was asked as to whether or not you could, we were having some problems getting, quorums and those kinds of things, and in looking at the capacity of each board, what the authority was under the board policies. Under the board policies, all these committees that we have, finance, strategic planning, operations, and safety, those are committees that, per your policies, are created by the chair, and I think were previously created by chairs, and also the number of people as far as membership. So there's authority to change membership or to do whatever it needs to be done for flexibility purposes to ensure that those committees are as necessary and as provided. And so I would go back to, I think the only one that hadn't been, and hadn't had all of the appointments, was it the strategic planning? I can't recall.
Yes, it was strategic planning and external relations, I think. That's the
Right.
committee I chair.
And I think we were having a problem identifying members, enough members who did want to be appointed to that board. And we also have had issues as it relates to a quorum, so I don't know if we want to look at that and maybe change that board over to a 5-member board, or however the pleasure of the chair is, because it's within the chair's purview as part of the policies.
Thank you. So the question at the time was that we didn't, whether we could have a quorum when there were 7 positions and 5 people had signed for it, 5 board members, and that doesn't appear to be a problem. I can reduce the size of the committee. So I'm just moving with everyone being appointed to whatever they signed up for, which was 3 committees and 5 people. There was no issue. And then we'll further going to be looking at those committees and see if they make kind of the most sense in the future for how we move forward and sort things or review things. And with that, we can move on this morning. We have a lot of recognitions for a lot of great work that has been done at HART. And we want to thank employees for their outstanding performance and recognize them. And some of the employees are present, and we encourage them to stand while they're being recognized. And we have Mr. Scott Drainville, Chief of Maintenance and Transportation. You're recognized to lead these recognitions.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Grand, good morning. This morning we'll be recognizing 12 employees for the first quarter. For their achievements and dedicated service, each employee receives a certificate of recognition, a dedicated parking spot for the month, and a choice between $100 or a day off from work. And I would ask again if the employees, that each employee stand when I call their name, and let's try to save all applause until the end. So I'll start off with the Paratransit and Customer Service Department. These employees report under Greg Bracken, the Director of Operations Support. For Van Operator of the Month for October of 2021, Athea Tyler. Ms. Tyler is a HART Plus van operator and has been with HART since June of 2014. Althea consistently exceeds her regular duties as a certified operator instructor. Ms. Tyler not only provides training but mentors new employees to ensure HART's customers receive safe and quality service. She is well respected by her co-workers and always maintains a positive and pleasant attitude. Ms. Tyler maintained 100% on-time performance for the month of October. Van Operator of the Month for November 2021, Errol Murray. Mr. Murray is a paratransit van operator that started his career at HART in April of 2008. Errol has received multiple custom accommodations for the great customer service he provides. His latest custom accommodation was, the driver was extraordinary, accommodating, fabulous, and careful. I felt very safe with him. He's a perfect example to all drivers. For the month of October, for the November, Errol maintained a 100% on-time performance. For Van Operator of the Month for December 2021, Bartolome Flores. Mr. Flores was not able to be with us this morning, but Mr. Flores is a paratransit van operator and has been with HART since July of 2011. Mr. Flores consistently volunteered to work additional hours during the pandemic to ensure our clients' trips are accomplished as scheduled. During the month of December, Mr. Flores performed 204 HART Plus passenger trips and retained a 99% on-time performance for the month of December. For customer service representative of the first quarter, Beverly Mitchell. Ms. Mitchell was not able to attend this morning. But Ms. Mitchell joined the HART customer service team in April of 2006. In the first quarter, she has handled over 3,700 calls and booked more than 2,000 HART Plus client trips with a call answer ratio of 98%. Each day, Beverly provides great customer service, her great customer service skills, and ensures each customer is a top priority. Moving on to fixed route. These employees report under Mr. Bobby Edwards, the Director of Transportation. For Bus Operator of the Month for October 2021, Francisco Torres. Mr. Torres started his career at HART in October of 2013. Each day, Francisco provides world-class customer service backed by his great safety record. To give one example, recently a customer on Francisco's bus began to have a seizure. Francisco's training and quick thinking allowed him to contact Tampa Fire Rescue and the HART Operations Control, resulting in possibly saving this customer's life. On average, Francisco hits more than 700 time bumps and maintains an on-time performance in the high 80s. For Bus Operator of the Month for November 2021, Kenneth McDowell. Mr. McDonald started his career at HART in March of 2015. Kenneth is well respected by his team members and continually provides great customer service. On November 16, 2021, while on Route 36, a young patron approached his bus, states she had missed her school bus and needed a ride to school. Kenneth was able to reunite the child with her mother as they were close by to her home. On average, Kenneth hits more than 800 time bumps and maintains an on-time performance of in the high 80s. For Bus Operator of the Month for December 2021, Ellen McCauley. Ms. McCauley started her career at HART in July of 2018. Ellen continues to provide exceptional customer service and safety skills. Recently, a customer contacted HART's customer service with the following comment. I am on Route 9, and I want to let you know that the driver is the most wonderful person on this earth. There's a gentleman on here, and he is blind, and she's actually helping him walk across the street because he was on the wrong side. I can't believe it. She's just so wonderful. For Operations Teamster of the first quarter, Carl Moore. Mr. Moore started his career in HART in August of 2015 as a bus operator and was promoted to transit supervisor in October of 2019. Carl has an amazing rapport with both his team members and the public. On November 30th, 2021, while stationed at the Marion Transit Center, Carl was alerted that a young girl was sitting on a bench by herself, not wanting to go to school. After speaking with her, Carl was able to gather that she had been away from home since the day before. Carl was able to coordinate the reuniting of her and her parents with the help of Tampa Police. On to the maintenance department. These employees work under the direction of Dale Smith, the Director of Facilities Maintenance, and Justin Laffler, the Director of Fleet Maintenance. For Maintenance Employee of the Month for October 2021, Kirk Bacabello. Mr. Bacabello was not able to attend this morning. Mr. Bacabello is a master paint and body technician and has been with HART since November of 2018. Throughout the installations of the current camera campaign, Kirk has been working diligently with the vendor to verify installs, testing, and quality control is up to par to ensure vehicles are ready for use. He also takes initiative to correspond with the Operations Control Center to confirm statuses and return to base times so we can lay out the work scheduling. Mr. Bacabello continually shows his dedication to HART in the maintenance department. For Maintenance Employee of the Month for November 2021, Patrick Jobs. Mr. Jobs is a facilities general attendant and started his career with HART in August of 2019. Patrick is an essential component for our daily disinfecting and sanitizing throughout many HART executive, administrative, and public locations. Mr. Jobs not only completes his own workload, but never hesitates to aid his fellow co-workers in doing the same. On the top of his daily responsibilities, Patrick also handles the monthly carpet cleaning and pressure washing duties. With his positive attitude and willingness to assist outside of his own responsibilities, Mr. Jobs is a sign of the ultimate team player. For Maintenance Employee of the Month for December 2021, John Yates. Mr. Yates is a route maintenance attendant and has been with HART since January of 2011. John is in charge of the southwest zone of Hillsborough County, and John serves on average 20 to 25 stops a day, and he also maintains all the signage in his area during the rainy season. One of his regular tasks is to cut and weed all stops in his zone with no complaints. He has been a lead for the route maintenance department for several years and leads the team during the installation and demolition of shelters. He also takes a lead role when incorporating mock-ups during the year, and this is what makes him instrumental in the department. For maintenance teamster employee of the first quarter, Jeffrey Campbell. Mr. Campbell is the route maintenance supervisor and has been with HART since May of 2000. Mr. Campbell has led several successful projects during this quarter. He seamlessly moved the UATC street-side bus stops to the east of 131st Avenue for the new sidewalk construction, cleaned and mowed the west side area for a new bus stop pole installation and temporary service. He relocated the Lowe's park and ride from the parking lot at the store to the side street, making it a safer location due to congestion in the Lowe's parking lot. He also completed a mock-up and helped implement a new street sweeper service with our HART street sweeper vehicle. Thank you, Jeff. So at this time, we'd like to congratulate all 12 of these HART employees for their outstanding performance, professionalism, and dedication to HART and the community.
You should all be so proud, and this board is proud of all of you for all your incredible work. And I think during this pandemic in particular, we've learned the real about the real importance of your work as essential workers and more or less in some ways first responders. I put our staff in that category, our operators, because this is so critical and important to our community. So thank you all for all your work on behalf of this board. We're very proud of the work that you do at HART. And at this time, I'm going to introduce, or I don't have to introduce her, but our CEO, Ms. Ali LeGrand, is going to do some unexpected recognitions.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, board members, and good morning, staff. As we are here today recognizing our employees for the last quarter, you're all aware I've been here for a year, and I'd like to recognize 2 employees as employees of the year in the CEO category, which we're just starting. But these 2 employees really exemplify a culture of positive energy and focus on excellence. You know, we have a lot of challenges every day, and you know, you have to come in and leave your home and whatever your own personal challenges are, set those aside and focus on HART and the HART community. So I'd like to recognize, and they're both in the room, so if you guys can come up to the podium, that would be great. I'd like to recognize Dale Smith and Matthew Whitesides. And Dale Smith has been with the organization since July of 2010. He's currently the director of facilities. When I got here, Dale was a manager in the maintenance department, and anytime I called Dale, if I drove down the street and I saw trash at a stop, or I saw a bus that I thought, you know, the way it was at a stop, you know, if there was an issue or a bench or one of our facilities, if I saw something, I would call Dale at any time of the day, and Dale would be responsive and not only address the issue, but then come back to me with a plan on what we can do to move something forward. Dale has his own plan on how we can start and adopt a bus shelter program, which I shared with the mayor last week. These are some of the initiatives that he's just doing on his own when he's at home or wherever he should be focused, not on HART, but HART is very important to Dale. And Dale, like myself, you know, had some personal losses last year, and he rallied for the team, and if you didn't know, he didn't miss a beat. So sometimes people don't realize that we see what they're doing, and I do think it's important to recognize them. So thank you, Dale, for all that you do and you have done, and I'm so honored to be in the company of you. Thank you so much. And then we have Matthew Whitesides, and he was one of the first HART employees that I actually spoke to. He is an HR generalist in benefits and billing. And you know, when you get hired and you get a new job, you have to talk to the HR folks and figure out how you set up your benefits. And it was COVID, so you know, everything was remote and trying to figure out how to do the process. And you know, having somebody who could help you, shepherd you through the process. And then after being here, you know, anytime I had a question, even if it wasn't for me, just on process, or what do we do in the city, or how does the county do this, or if I called Mr. Whitesides, he would tell me, either the answer, or he'd say, Ms. LeGrand, I don't have the answer, but I will figure it out and I'll get back to you. And he has never let me down. He has not, said that he had all the answers, which I appreciate, and he knows how to find the answers. And if we get the answers, sometimes they were wrong, and he'd send it, and he'd look at it, and he'd call me, and he said, they sent us the wrong thing. I'm going to get this fixed for you. And he's done the same for every other person that I've spoken to when they have a challenge. And I said, well, give Matthew a call. He'll help you, and he does. So I want to thank Mr. Whiteside for just showing up and getting the job done. He's one of those people I would call a quiet storm. He doesn't make a lot of fuss. You might not even recognize that he's in the room, but he's getting the job done. He's been with HART since November of 2018, and we're very fortunate to have you. And Mr. Whitesides, you've heard me say this before, I'm so happy that I have you on the team, and you are definitely a stellar employee, and you represent the culture of positive energy and focusing on excellence. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And both Mr. Smith and Mr. Whitesides are going to get a HART bus plaque that says with their name on it. So I don't know if you've received it as yet, but I know we ordered those. So thank you.
And again, on behalf of the board, I'd just like to thank both Mr. Smith and Mr. Whitesides. It's great to hear about all the work they do. Please don't give us their telephone numbers. They sound very resourceful. And thank you all so much. And I think this is where we're moving forward and building a culture at HART. It sounds that you all are leading the way very much in making that possible. So thank you all for your service. And again, the board is very, very proud of the work that's done by the staff here. So thank you. And with that, we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
And that was?
Second.
Okay. I think that was Director Johnson, yeah. And Director Myers, or Commissioner Myers. And with that, can we please have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Myers, can I make a comment, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I will, obviously, I'm going to support the motion to support the consent agenda, but I do want to bring to the board's attention the item 6B. Inside the minutes that are also attached to this particular report is a very important piece of information. I'm excited about approval of the item, so that's not the issue. But within the item was some profound information that this board needs to be aware of. It was an excellent presentation by the staff at InfraStrategies. They did a terrific job of helping us understand our current financial situation. And then this approval will actually allow them to update the numbers given the infrastructure plan. But I think it's important for this board to recognize, without the surtax that the Board of County Commission is presenting to your taxpayers this fall, much of those projections will have little meaning, largely because of transportation planning and funding of any expansion will require local dollars. And without them, those projections may not have as much of an impact, given we would not qualify for much of the federal dollars available through the infrastructure plan. So I just want to urge the board to bring that to your attention and how important that is in how we move forward, because the revelation that there is a fiscal cliff that HART could reach without additional resources in, say, between 25 and 26, it appears, that we would not really have the ability to have a sustainable transit agency without additional funding. So while I'm very much in support of approving it, I wanted to make sure that the whole board saw that presentation, read through the minutes, and I think Ms. LeGrand was planning on bringing back the full presentation possibly at a future meeting. But it's urgently important that in the county's town hall meetings, as well as other opportunities for HART to reach out to the community to talk about what our situation looks like, I would encourage all of us to support that effort. And with that, you have my...
Thank you. Comments well taken. And Ms. LeGrand, perhaps just for a minute, you can explain the basis of this, as well as, I think the reason probably the full presentation is because it's in progress, but I agree with Commissioner Overman that it would be good to have, because it was very, very good to see. And I think the full board having the benefit rather than the committees, it sometimes gets a little confusing between what I see as a committee member and what the full board sees, which I think it would be well taken.
Thank you. So as Commissioner Overman mentioned, we did have at our last committee meeting a presentation from the consultant InfraStrategy. So you may recall back, I believe, in May or June of 21, the board approved that we go into a contract with InfraStrategies to build a 30-year financial model. They completed that work in December of this calendar year, in November. However, the infrastructure bill passed after they completed their work. So what we're asking in this resolution is for additional funding so they can update the model to include the new elements associated with the IIGA, and then also be able to put in some additional scenarios that will be now available to us because of additional funding sources. The intention is that after the consultant updates our financial model, that they'll come back and do a presentation with the updated numbers to the committee and then to the full board. And that's also inclusive in their request for additional funding, which is to also come back and do presentations at the board and committee meeting, as well as a part of this is to get funding to train our internal staff on how to run the model. Having a model that we as HART employees do not know how to update and manage is not going to be very beneficial to us in the long term. So it's important that we have staff trained on how to utilize the model, and then when we do the handoff, it'll belong to us. And we'll also have some hours associated with continued maintenance of the model. So those are the things that we're going to fund with this request, and you'll see the full presentation at an upcoming board meeting.
Thank you. And Commissioner Overman?
Just to follow up with that, excellent work. I mean, it's exactly what we've all needed, and I truly appreciate the effort. And what this report actually shows is where we are right now. And I think in talking to our citizens, that's what they need to know. So I really appreciate the work. Your leadership is clearly on how we get moving forward is critically important, and I want to thank you for that work.
Thank you. And with that, we have for the consent agenda, we have a motion by Director Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Myers. And seeing no further comments, can we please do a roll call vote?
Director Castor? Approve. Director Frazier? Yes. Director Hudson?
Yes.
Director Johnson?
Yes.
Chair Kemp?
Yes.
Director Knight?
Yes.
Director Myers?
Yes.
Director Overman?
Yes.
Director Schisler?
Yes.
Director Smith?
Here. Yes, sorry. Yes.
Director Vieira?
Yes.
Director Williams?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we will move to the sole source awards and deviations from requirements of the procurement manual for December 2021 and January 2022.
Okay, so we have a couple of items here to share. So for December and January, you'll see on our sole source awards, Section A, that we had 2 sole source awards. One was for the audio transit advertising of $60,000, and the other one was to Swiftly Inc., and that is for $224,000. And that was a renewal for our technology that Swiftly provides us with the real-time information for streetcar and bus services. So these are that's a renewal for a contract that we already have. And that's why we're sharing it with you on this sheet. Section B, you'll see it's just the year-to-date for our total sole source awards. So what we've done on that table is just added those last 2, Swiftly and the commuter ads, the audio transit advertising. And then item C, our deviation. So we did have one deviation for $70,000, and this is the deviation associated with the InfraStrategies model development. So when the consultant came to us at our meeting in January, our committee meetings, after that meeting on January 28th, we met with Chair Kemp and talked about, getting a limited notice to proceed so that the consultant could start building out the model, so that once we got approval, we could. Our target was to get this information back to you as soon as possible. So what we didn't want to do was to wait until this meeting for them to start working on the update. So we gave them a limited notice to proceed just to get them to this day to just start, mapping out what they needed to do to update the model. So that's what we're showing here, and they'll get the full notice to proceed after this meeting. When we say limited notice to proceed, it's specific and it only allows for a limited number of dollars, but we wanted to share with you that we did a limited notice to proceed and put it on this form. If there are any questions, I can answer those. But if not, that's all we have on the sole source deviations.
Any questions? Okay, at this time, we'll move to the CEO's report.
Okay, so we have been very, very busy. I did my first Gasparilla, so I guess I can put that down. I got the tattoo. I don't really have a tattoo, but I have the proverbial tattoo of Gasparilla, so that was great. I want to say the team was out there in full force. I came out in the morning and saw our volunteers, our staff. We do the job as a 24/7 job, but then we also have to rally the team to support some of the community events. So we had several volunteers of staff that came out, and we had positions at different streetcar stations and locations throughout the area to make sure that we could engage with the customers. We did get some positive press. I don't know if you saw, but Representative Learned actually rode the bus to Gasparilla, and he posted that and said that he's on his way to Gasparilla on the bus with a bunch of pirates. So that really made our team feel great, and the photo he took really looked good. And it shows that HART is definitely another option to getting around the city, not just for Gasparilla, but for all of your needs. So we're very excited about that. And again, wanted to thank the staff for volunteering and having a lot of good fun. We have agreed that next year we're going to do something a bit more, maybe get our own HART beads that we can have folks throw out that say HART on it, or just something to kick it up a notch. So definitely wanted to share that. As it relates to, the work that we've been doing internally, we have completed another round of internal strategic planning work. So we are on schedule to having our internal workshops completed by the end of this month. So we're really looking forward to getting to March, where we can now present to our external stakeholders what our goals are and get their input as we build out our strategic plan. And I'll come back to you after we're done with the sessions in February at the March meeting to really share with you, like we did for the visioning exercise, what the internal team has come up with for our proposed goals. So outside of that, just moving everything forward, and just happy to be here and share some of our highlights with you briefly. I know we had a lot on the agenda today, so I didn't have a long presentation. So thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I will forego the chair's report and move to the general counsel's report.
Good morning again. I feel like this is a little bit of the Julia show today. I hope everyone has had a good weekend, and wanted to bring a couple of things to everybody's attention as part of my report. The first item is relating to a Sunshine Law and Public Records Law workshop that I do want to present. I think I did one maybe a year and a half ago. But I do want to go ahead and just make you aware that I'm going to get that on the calendar. I think what we can try and do, since these board meetings are so much shorter than they have been in the past, we can actually just do them maybe at the end of a board meeting, since everybody's already got that time calendared. I don't expect it to be very long because we've done it, but I think it's important to do the refresh. In addition, as part of that, I'd like to continue to, as I've indicated, we're working on a lot of the policies. And as part of that workshop, at the end of that, I'd like to maybe go through some of the policy revisions I think would be appropriate, and that we're suggesting, working with Jeremy Beasley, who is the agency counsel. And it won't be comprehensive, but at least we'll start to see the direction that we're going in, and so that we're keeping you up to date on where we want to go with our policies.
Thank you. if you do when you do a sunshine class for us, some of us have to have a certain amount of hours of sunshine and ethics training every year. Would that count towards us?
I looked into that last year.
Yeah.
It doesn't, because I'm not able to get that level of certification. I'm not as talented as some of the people who actually teach those classes, so mine is more of a refresher. But and also it wouldn't have the number of hours you need, because you need 4 hours. It's my recollection for that. So unfortunately, you either learn it twice or maybe you say, I don't need to hear it. But I think it's important for everybody to be refreshed on these things on a regular basis, and it's one of the treasuries of this process, but it's really one of the more important things that we do. So I did just want to bring that to everybody's attention. The second item I would like to discuss is, I know that everybody has received, and I think the majority of folks have returned, the CEO evaluation. And as part of that process, I wanted to update everybody on what this evaluation process means, and also what the contract says, because we know we've been going through the last year with our new CEO, but I would like to bring you back to what the contract says and how we should be proceeding forward as it relates to the CEO evaluation and also under the contract. We entered into this contract with our new CEO, was I think January last year, and it has a couple of different provisions in it that we need to start to think about and make some decisions. The first one relates to the compensation, and this is section 4 of the agreement. And you may recall that at the time we were going through this contract process, there was a lot of discussion and debate on salaries, and that happens in this process, and it's part of what was going on, and we were in COVID at the time that this was happening. So a base salary was set at that time of $250,000 per the contract, with the opportunity to raise that base salary if one specific events occur. And there were 3 events that were designated in the agreement. It's not the only event that could occur, but these were specified in the agreement. The first is if ridership returns to pre-COVID numbers. The second is surtax money becomes available, or 3, new funding becomes available. And the contract specifies that the funding has to be from a source that is available to be spent on compensation for the CEO, and specifically excludes funding that is not available to be for compensation, and it also cannot include ad valorem. That's a mouthful, but what that means is that for that particular section is a new funding source that can be used for salaries. It then goes on to say in the contract that in making some decisions on this, you look at the performance of the CEO, and also what has occurred in the last year, and then at that point in time, what you have the discretion, in your sole discretion, of up to a 15% base salary raise. That's important because one of the metrics in here has now been triggered. HART has just been approved under the American Rescue Plan for funding, not approved, has actually been funded. I will say it's in the bank account, as far as I can tell, per what I've seen, $765,443 million has been funded and is in the bank account of HART. That funding, and I did a little additional research just to make sure I was understanding what that funding was for, would include the opportunity to increase salaries for employees. So that money is available and can be utilized for the purposes of increase of salaries. Therefore, it's my opinion that provision has been triggered, meaning at that point in time that has been triggered, now you can consider a base salary increase of up to 15%. So that's one category that you're looking for as part of this process. The second thing that you're looking at as part of this process is in section, that was section 4, just in case anybody wants to know where these provisions live. And then you turn to section 7 of the contract, which talks about performance standards and evaluation. And that section specifically provides for the annual review of the CEO based upon performance standards. These standards are what you have all been reviewing and have commented back on. I believe most of you have sent back your evaluation forms. And when you're evaluating whether or not a merit increase would be available, that's separate from the base salary increase that I just described. And the section provides that you can elect to grant a merit increase at a level budgeted for non-bargaining unit employees based upon a determination that applicable performance standards have been achieved or exceeded. So as part of that process, you can look at what's in your evaluation form. You also can look at, it goes on to say, and I'm paraphrasing, look at any subjective criteria that you think is important to determine whether the additional merit increase would be appropriate, and if so, what amount that is. What I understand is in the past, CEOs have been given up to a 5% merit increase. It can be more, you have the discretion in there. It can be less, you have the discretion in there, but that's generally what has been given to CEOs in the past. So again, I just want to go back. There's two categories here. One has to do with the base salary. The second has to do with the merit increase. And the third issue is something that I'm bringing to your attention because I think at least I've had a couple of conversations where this issue has come up, and it relates to the term of employment. The term of employment, as the contract states today, is until December 31st, 2023, with 2 one-year extensions. Now, as part of your consideration and thought process on these matters, if there is a discussion point that says we would like to have that term change, obviously that has to be something that's agreed to by the CEO, and it would take an amendment to the agreement. All the other things that I've discussed don't take any kind of amendment. That's already considered in the agreement. That would require a simple amendment, but that is something that certainly you have the right as a board to say that's part of your thought process or something you would like to be considered by the CEO in evaluating where we are today and what we're doing. Again, I'm bringing this to everybody's attention for your consideration and thought process. I want you to understand what all this means in terms of the work the CEO has done and the performance evaluation process, and it is within your bailiwick to decide how you want to proceed forward. If you want to discuss that today, we certainly can have a discussion today. If you want to go ahead and place it on your next agenda for further conversation, that would be within your authority. Or if you want to, whatever, you have a lot of discretion here to make these decisions. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
Do you have the general report back? I know some board members did not file, but to reflect the rating of the board in general?
Yes, I have been. It's not completed because a lot of them, the evaluations were just coming in, and we used a different process through the DocuSign this time. So I know that may have created a little delay, but I will tell you, and I could do this one of two ways. I can go through each one and give you exactly what the scores that I have are, each one of the categories. I can do it by member, or I can just give you a generalization under each item with the average.
I think right now a generalization would be to kind of capture the general evaluation.
I'm going to go through the categories and give you the general just so you have that. The category of strategic management and what's nice about this is it also includes the self-evaluation of Ms. LeGrand, so I'm going to include her as part of the generalization. In strategic management, the consensus is a 3, which is the highest. That goes from a 1 to a 3. So the consensus was a 3. As it relates to leadership, the consensus was a 3, but there were a couple of 2s in there, including from Ms. LeGrand herself. Judgment and decision-making, that was a tie between the 3s and the 2s, with Ms. LeGrand also indicating her a 2. Financial resource management, there was an overwhelming consensus for a 3, meaning it was all 3s. Responsiveness, the consensus was a 3, with a few twos, including Ms. LeGrand indicating that herself. Communication, consensus overwhelmingly a 3. Connection to community, that was actually a consensus of a 2 with a few 3s in there, including Ms. LeGrand's review of herself. Fiscal responsibility, consensus was a 3. Responsiveness and responsive employees, the consensus was a 2. And delivery of core services, the consensus was all 3s. So, and I think that is pretty much in line. The consensus has been the line with the self-evaluations and with the evaluations that aren't on here that I did also review. That it's pretty much, that's the consensus I've given is pretty much the consensus.
Thank you. So at this time, I don't know if there are any discussion by board members, motions. Yes, Mayor
I would
Castor.
like to, first of all, in my evaluation, the only area that I graded Ms. LeGrand with a 2 was community relations and engagement, and that was just because of a lack of tenure. The longer she's here, clearly the more relationships she's going to be able to build. I think that Ms. LeGrand has gone above and beyond what we have expected here as a leader. I feel like we've got a world-class leader in our grips, and we can't let her go. As we look at the past of HART, I believe there's been 5 CEOs in 5 years. So to be able to have that consistency in that position is something that is desperately needed. Those who know me know that I'm always a very conservative steward of the taxpayers' dollars. But in this particular instance, I would motion for the 15% because that's what we negotiated with her, and she has not only stepped up to the requirements that were stated, but has gone above and beyond. The caveat that I would like to include that was brought up is to have that commitment from Ms. LeGrand for a longer period here in the city of Tampa and with HART. But I think the future is very bright. I personally, in my limited time here in city government, have yet to see someone be so successful so quickly as Ms. LeGrand. So I would move for the 15%.
Thank
I
you.
would offer a second on that, Gil Schussler.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Mayor Castor and a second by Commissioner Myers and a second by Councilman Schisler. And also, I think that was to make a contract extension as well.
Correct.
And the current contract is through what date?
2023.
Okay.
And as I indicated, that is a contract amendment that I would need to bring back to the board, but can do that at your next meeting.
Okay. So with yours, would you, I know you said contract extension and you made the motion, but would you do it to, I know you put it contingent, but to 2025 or?
Yes, I would say 2025 at the least 2 or 3 years extension on that contract.
Okay. And with that, do we have more discussion? Yes.
I'm sorry, if I can just interrupt. You said a contract extension. Do we have a date of the contract extension? And in addition, because that is an amendment to the contract, that would require, obviously, Ms. LeGrand to agree to that date. So, so that's something, you could put a date and we can have that conversation with her afterwards, or if she wants to weigh in on that today, that's up for her to decide. You know, I don't want to put her in the position of negotiating contract terms on the record, but.
I guess we could do a motion to offer maybe through December 31st, 2025. Is that, does that?
I think that would be an appropriate way to make that part of the motion. And we could do it all in one motion, or we can do it as separate motions, however you would like.
Okay, then I would add to my motion a specific date of December 31st of 2025.
Okay. And yes, Commissioner Overman.
Thank you, Mayor Castor, for the motion. I'd actually, because the American Rescue Plan monies, which is the trigger that caused this conversation, or one of the triggers that caused this conversation, are one-time funds, realizing that we're making a financial decision that will have a very long-term impact. While I want to support the motion, and I'm clearly thrilled with the performance, what I would like to ask for is when the contract comes back, we have a good financial understanding of what we've committed to. We oftentimes, and HART's not the only one, okay? We all make financial decisions all day long on various different levels. But the financial planner in me is freaking out a little bit right now. It's like, okay, this is absolutely awesome, but I also want to make sure that we have a sustainable financial picture that makes sure that we can meet the promise that we make in this contract amendment. And that's critically important. I want our CEO to feel comfortable and her staff to feel comfortable with the commitment that we make to her for the excellence that she's bringing to us. So the only thing I would ask is when it comes back, I think it needs to be very clear with the impact of the financial decisions that we will be making, and that's all I'm not going to change. I will support the motion, but I think it's important that we recognize that there is a financial impact that's beyond the American Rescue Plan dollars. That's a one-time funding mechanism. So I'll stop there.
If I can just make a couple comments on that, just so I make the record clear.
Yes.
The way the agreement is drafted is it's not, it doesn't state that it has to be ongoing funding. That's not to take away from what you're saying, Commissioner Overman, but just to indicate to you that the agreement, the way it's drafted, doesn't say it has to be a continuing funding source, that it could be a one-time funding source. And whether there's a financial effect of that or not, I have to leave to the financial planners because nobody wants a lawyer doing math. So that I just wanted to make clear. And the other thing too is that provision doesn't require an amendment. That being said, if you want to amend that provision, we could, but I think that provision as it relates to that 15% is self-operating in the agreement. The only portion that I need to bring back for the purposes of an amendment is the extension of the term of employment.
I would, and I don't know if Ms. LeGrand or someone else that you would identify, but as I understand it as well, we do have our infrastructure funds that are coming, and the formula within those is, at least for some years to come, does provide us with revenue that is that can be committed however we see it, which would be, which could be capital, which could be operating, and so that is an open revenue source. And when I had spoken to Ms. Mandel about this, she wanted to see that the actual dollars were in the account already. So even though that is a future commitment that we will have, we don't have the dollars in hand. So she was being very conservative about guaranteeing that that the source was already in our account for the future. Yes. Director Frazier.
I have a microphone, so I'll try and speak loudly. I'm another one that rated Ms. LeGrand very highly. I think I may have given her 2 2s out of the entire evaluation, and everything else was a 3. But I think you brought her in at a very tumultuous time for the organization, and she's done a fantastic job consistently during a trying couple of years. She's only been here a year, but that's, that kind of snowballs into what has to be done when you bring someone new in. I remember our discussion last year.
I'm so sorry. Would it be all right if you went to the podium? I'm so sorry.
I'm going to wobble to the podium.
You'll have a lot of gravitas there.
Just picking up where I said I rated Ms. LeGrand pretty highly in my evaluation. I only gave her a few 2s out of all, and everything else was a 3. We brought her in at a very tumultuous time for the organization. It was important for her to take the helm and really do everything that she needed to do. She hasn't been afraid to make the hard decisions. I recall the discussion we had when we were debating the salary for her when she came in, and we specifically talked about those provisions that we put in the contract. I think we kind of kicked the can down the road, and she's done what we've asked her to do. So I do feel like we need to honor our obligations that we committed to at the time when we tasked her with what we said we wanted her to do. So I support Mayor Castor's motion, and I would urge you all to as well.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith.
Thank you. Is there somebody here who can tell me where we are with minimum wage within HART? Ms. LeGrand, can you tell me that?
So as far as what is the lowest wage?
Yeah, have we gotten to $15?
Right, so in April, when the Supreme Court ruled, well, in April, we responded to the Supreme Court ruling when the contract for our bargaining employees had not, the provision in the contract that is current now stated that our bargaining employees would not get an increase until there was a decision on the surtax ruling. So the decision was made, and what I did with the team was to go on ahead and pay what was in the contract. So increase the step increases and give the bargaining employees their salary increases. And, you know, it took us a couple of weeks to do the retroactive pay and get all of that done, and we were able to do that. In doing that, we were able to raise the minimum starting salaries for every step. So the way it's written in the contract, you know, every position has multiple steps, and when you do an increase, you increase every step. So we were able to make the increase. I know for the bus operators, and Miss Terry in the room? Miss Wright, is she in here? I don't know. I can't see because I'm seated differently. Or Mr. Drainville, if Miss Wright or Mr. Drainville are in the room, they would know exactly how much the entry level salary is. Scott, can you come to the mic, please?
Yeah, so the entry level for the bus operators?
Right, it's $15.25?
Yes.
And then, so the entry salary for the bus operator is $15.25, and then the entry salary for a mechanic for the first grade, I guess?
There's three different classifications, but the B technician comes in at 18 and change. And if you're at A, it's over $20 an hour.
And so what I'm asking is, do we have anything coming in below $15 an hour?
I believe there's two classifications that just under 15, and we're in negotiations now with that.
But one is a clerk, and we don't have any clerks in that classification. I believe it's 12.25 or so. So the two positions, and I think there's also, customer.
I think the facilities, it's a facilities classification, I believe, just under 15.
Right, that's under. But the clerk position, we don't have anybody in that position.
That's
and then
correct.
the other positions. So really, we're looking at a base of $15.25. However, we're currently in contract negotiations, and what we have on the table would increase that $15.25 as well.
So we have a facilities position that is under 15?
I believe so, and I can get you that, the exact classification.
Thank you. Yeah, I would really like to make sure, while we're talking about funding that can be used for salaries and wages, that we bring the entire organization up to a minimum of $15 an hour. We've done that in the county. I know we've done it in the city has done it. Tampa Bay Water has done it. I've insisted on it in our garbage hauler contracts. And if we're talking about the ability to increase salaries, we really need to step that up as well. I too feel uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable with this process because this was not on the agenda for such a large percentage increase. If it was something more in line with our county administrator, our EPC director, our county attorney, which all came in at 4% with stellar reviews. That would be one thing, but with a very large ask, I was not briefed that this would be coming to the board for the maximum increase, and to just have the pieces of the contract read to us and the evaluation summarized verbally. I really think that for this ask, we should have had time to review all the evaluations of the board members and the contract, and it should have been a little bit more of an agenda item that we were going to consider these reviews. I think the ARP funds, I'm a little queasy about that counting as this trigger, because they are a one-time fund, a one-time funding source. I'm just having a hard time choking this down on the fly. And I will also point out that, as you said, Ms. Mandel, well, you said a couple of things. You said these triggers, this set of triggers and raising the base salary is separate from a merit increase, but you also, if you read that section of the contract, which I'm just trying to do very quickly, it does say, and you mentioned, the board will, we make this consideration based on a performance, the employee's performance. So that's merit increase in my book. That's not like, oh, we could have done a separate merit increase on top of that. So, but I know the motion isn't asking for any more. I'm just having a hard time processing this, and as I say, I'm uncomfortable with the process. We just heard about a lot of stellar employees, and I think that it's important that we're paying everybody what they're worth. Frankly, before we're raising the top, and most important, we're all going to have to go out and ask for a tax increase and justify it, and ask for people to put a big chunk of that towards HART, with the argument that HART needs the money, and that HART is struggling to meet our, basic bills. So I'm uncomfortable with the look of a very maximum large salary increase at this time, and frankly not ready to support the motion. It has, I also gave Ms. LeGrand stellar reviews, and I think that's a given. I'm just uncomfortable with this large review increase coming to us this way today. Thank you.
Director Johnson.
I wanted to agree with Commissioner Smith about the kind of the way that this is being brought to us. Again, Ms. LeGrand, I think that she did, and based off my evaluation, I think she is doing a tremendous job. I certainly don't want her anywhere. I want to be able to find a way to lock her in as fast as possible. I just don't think that the way that this was brought to us today was the right way. I would have loved to have had this contract in front of me, because I think that for the most part, I'm pretty much in agreement with the mayor's motion. I just think that we are getting a lot thrown at us right now, and for something as important as this, I think that we should have at least had the opportunity to where this was just a regular agenda item for us to be able to consider. So I will go along with the motion if it's going to be able to at least get the conversation started. Again, I think Ms. LeGrand has been a tremendous asset for us. Again, I don't want her going anywhere, and want to be able to get this taken care of as soon as possible, but we need to be able to make sure that we are doing this in the correct fashion, Commissioner Overman brought up a great point when it comes to recurring and non-recurring funds. I think it's very, very important with our current financial situation, and I will go along with the motion to be able to get things rolling, but I would really like to be able to have a little bit more of a discussion and some documentation on this. Thank you.
If I can make a suggestion, and apologize that it came up this way, I was trying to kind of give context and, but possibly should have done it through an agenda item, and I apologize for that. Why don't I make this suggestion? You can have the motion, you can either take an action on the motion with a request that the general counsel comes back with a contract, which can be on your agenda, and the increase also on your agenda, and in the meantime, I'll get all the information to you so that you can evaluate it. I can make myself available for any questions, and then you can take any action that's a final action at that meeting as an agenda item.
So as I hear what you're saying is a preliminary approval today, and then we would have the backup information and points well taken with regards. I think this was the first evaluation that's been done in many years here at HART. I'll just let you know that. Plus, we've had a change in general counsel, a change in our HR, which is usually what we have done at the county. So there's been some, difficulties here. There wasn't even an evaluation form, which I will say I rated Ms. LeGrand a 3 on everything. One of the reasons is 1, 2, and 3, I didn't find enough nuance because a 2 meets expectations. I have to say she always exceeded my expectations, so I wish that I had a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, because I might have done a couple 4s, but instead I did all 3s. And I will say this. I was here in 2017, and there was much wringing of hands when at that time we had lost the CEO. It was even put in the papers that she had gone to Pittsburgh and immediately in 2017 got a salary of $45,000 more than we were paying here. And that was one of the reasons that she had stated that she was going there. She was, pleased with the investment. I'm sure when you're working with our funding on this system, that is a massive demand. And I've been through, and you were correct, I've actually, in the first 4 years, I actually had been through, I was counting them the other night, 5 CEOs, one just for like a month or 2 months or something, and a committee. I mean, we are in desperate need of not only stability and continuance, and I hope that Ms. LeGrand will accept a contract through 2025, because I can tell you that I looked out in the world, and there are a lot of other communities doing searches, and I feel like we have just such an excellent CEO at this time. I'm so pleased, and I also took the opportunity to look around at what other communities, I just did this over the weekend, and I can tell you they far exceed anything we would be doing today, far exceed. And what I looked at was in the Tampa Bay Competitiveness Report, they have 20 other communities that we consider ourselves competitive with, of which we rate year and year and year again, number 20 out of 20 in our transit system, both in the miles served and in the ridership. But I can assure you, there was a couple that I couldn't find, but it seems quite true that we probably rate 20 out of 20 by a long shot in also our compensation for our CEO. And I have to say that in the past, I did not realize until I looked this weekend how far off the mark we were. Also, as many of you probably remember, there were some negotiations, and Ms. LeGrand at the time was very much looking and was under the impression that there could be increased compensation for than what was advertised, and I think there was some awkwardness about that. So at this time, and I looked over the contract, these conditions were put on there. As Ms. Mandel said, we reached that condition. I'm very, very much supportive of this, and want to move forward from here and hope that we can also look at this again. I also appreciate the comments that were made about process, and I can assure you that as chair, I'll be looking at this. I think it was a difficult transition, first time that many have been involved in this process in a long time, and there was some missteps maybe made with regards to how that process went. But I'll assure you that from my perspective that we will address those. But I'd very much be in support of moving this forward today, bringing it back next month for final approval. And Commissioner Smith, I also appreciate the comments with regards to the entire staff at HART, because we certainly, do have to and have expressed concerns about that. But at the time, we were having so many difficulties that I think Ms. LeGrand has addressed so many issues this year that I find it like that, I feel like we have a superwoman as a CEO. And I'm not sure where to go with that, because I've never seen the likes of it, quite honestly, where, from everything from this facility and focusing on that, and identifying places where we could, how we would pay for our operations and maintenance facility, to actually bringing in those resources, to rebranding the organization, to looking at the buses, and when we weren't making it to our routes, to looking at our fiscal issues, to doing, as Commissioner Overman pointed out, really important future fiscal, not a year out like we used to do our budgets, but 5 years, 10 years, 30 years out. In every way, I think we have really set some foundations that are extremely important in this past year under extraordinary conditions. So I'll be supporting the motion as it moves forward. And I don't know if at this time, if anyone else wanted to speak.
Thank you. I'd like to offer a substitute motion, if at all possible. I know that I don't want Ms. LeGrand going anywhere, so don't misunderstand this. But I do think for the board to feel very comfortable and also have the stance of due diligence for making this opportunity, what I'd like to offer is what Mayor Castor has offered as a motion, as the terms, to increase as well as to lengthen the contract, to be brought back for a vote and presentation at the next board meeting. Because I think that would give us the opportunity to not only have the due diligence and see the financial impact, so that there is not any question that it is in the best interest of Hillsborough County and the HART and the agency and transit in our community, that hanging on to Ms. LeGrand and the financial decisions that we need to make sure that happens can be made. So thank you, because that was my only concern. I want to support the mayor's motion, but I think just out of caution that it might be good to bring it back as a regular agenda item at the next meeting.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Overman, seconded by Commissioner Smith. And just to be clear, if this is voted on, whether this is voted on or not, if we move to the Mayor Castor's motion, that it will be brought back next month for an affirmation, no matter what. So what this motion will do is move the entire discussion to next month, correct? If there's support for it. If not, then we'll move to Mayor Castor's and either approve or not approve today, and then bring it back next month at any rate. So,
I'm sorry, can I just ask a question on that so I'm clear? In order to proceed forward under Mayor Castor's motion, or I think under your motion, I do need to be able to bring back a contract extension. So I just want to make sure that I'm authorized to bring that back at the next meeting, or do you want to have the discussion at the next meeting, and then that would come later? I just want to make, because it does require that contract extension language to be in front of you, I want to make sure that I'm operating consistent with what you want.
Can I answer your question? Okay. So in my motion, it would be bringing back all of the decisions that we need to decide. Now, whether or not we need to have a contract that day to sign is not my issue. That can be, I mean, unless your contract is expiring before next month, I see that we have time to be able to actually have the board approve the contract. But if we're still making sure that we're clear about the triggers, the financial decision, the compensation, the merit increases, all of those things, what we do have now is our performance evaluations. But that's all, right? So in this particular case, the motion would come back with all of the terms and a financial understanding of what those terms look like, so that we could then hone down those, make sure they're very clear, and the board approves them, and you bring back a contract the following month. Is that
Thank
sufficient?
you. That's what I wanted, just clarification on procedurally, how,
okay?
what your motion would do versus another action.
To avoid dragging this out for 2 months, could you bring a draft of the so-moved contract? We can have all of the material available, and then if the board sees fit, vote on it that day. So we won't have
I'd
another
be fine with
month's
that.
Just
delay.
fine. That's why I just wanted to make sure I was operating consistent.
Okay.
I would be fine with that, so.
okay. So we have substitute motion by Commissioner Overman, seconded by Commissioner Smith. Is there any further discussion on the substitute motion? Seeing no further discussion, can we please have a roll call vote?
Director Castor?
I have a question. So
Yes,
the
I'm sorry.
substitute doesn't negate my motion, correct?
Yes, the substitute, what the substitute would do is put off any vote until next month. So if we vote, and Ms. Mendel, if you'd like to jump in here, but if we vote no on Commissioner Overman's motion, then we move to your motion, and then we can get the affirmation next month and do that.
And if maybe it'd be helpful if I clarify what the differences are. And yes, Chair Kemp, you are correct. If this motion fails, then we go back to the original motion. Otherwise, that motion prevails. What I see as the significant difference is one would be a vote to grant, as of today, the 15% and having me bring back a contract, the extension for really it to go for approval. Or alternatively, we just have this discussion heard again, or not again, but further discussed on the next meeting with a draft contract extension. I think it's a slight nuance, but it is a nuance.
I'm just going to say that I appreciate the substitute motion, and I appreciate where it came from, and I understand that, but I'm going to vote no on the substitute motion myself, because I'd rather just move with this today, go for the affirmation next month, as your motion had. So that's where I am with it.
And may I, Madam Chair, Vera?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Now, I wanted to weigh in, if I may, to explain my vote, because we have a couple. Like you, Madam Chair, I understand where the substitute motions are coming from. I have not only the details that I need, or the fundamentals that I need to make a decision today, but the details that I think I need to make a decision today. I fully appreciate the substitute motion 110%, but just wanted to state my piece. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, thank you. And I don't see any further discussion. Sorry about the screen, sometimes I know. But seeing no further discussion, if we could please have a roll call vote at this time, thank you.
Director Castor?
No.
Director Frazier? No. Director Hudson?
No.
Director Johnson?
Yes?
Chair Kemp?
No.
Director Knight? Director Myers?
No.
Director Overman?
Yes.
Director Schisler?
No.
Director Smith?
Yes.
Director Vieira?
A very respectful as always, no.
Director Williams?
No.
The motion failed.
Okay, I think those were all respectful no's, so.
Thank
But
you.
I appreciate the, and so with that, now, at this time, we'll move on to the main motion. Any further discussion with regards to the main motion by Mayor Castor? I keep wanting to call you Commissioner Castor, or maybe Congresswoman Castor, I'm not sure. But, and seconded by Commissioner Myers. And with that, can we please do a roll call vote?
Director Castor?
Yes.
Director Frazier? Yes. Director Hudson?
Yes.
Director Johnson?
Yes?
Chair Kemp?
Yes.
Director Myers?
Yes.
Director Overman?
Yes.
Director Schisler?
Yes.
Director Smith?
No.
Director Vieira?
Yes.
Director Williams?
Yes.
The motion passed.
Okay. And with that, we will move. I think we are still, is there still more with the general counsel's report at this time?
No, I'm completed my report. Thank you.
Okay.
Is that enough?
Okay. So I think that that is, concludes the meeting at this time.
I do think there is something for new business that.
Yes, I was going to move to that. I was going to ask for old business. And any old business? Yes. Director Williams.
Thank you, thank you. Can you hear me? Are we going to, can we request an overview of the salaries for the employees, or is that just, we're not going to get that in because of the way we voted?
You're asking in general for that, that might be in the future, I think, not necessarily, tied to this, but I think that would be very good because it's time now for us to kind of, I think, I was letting some other things myself settle before asking for that, but I think we it's obvious that there is a desire for that at this time. And so, Ms. LeGrand, can we put that on as a future item so that we can understand? I know that there's negotiations going on at this point.
That's correct. And I did get a response to the question that Commissioner Smith asked about how many people are under 15. So we have 16 employees out of our approximately 800 employees who are under 15. So their salaries in the note that I sent, they are included in a group of people whose salaries would be increased to the 15 number. But there's only 16 employees that are currently under $15.
Thank you for that clarification, and I think, so, Ms. LeGrand, we can bring back something that helps us to understand where all this sits, because I know we've gone back and forth on this over the years, and I know there's been a lot of other kind of triage that's been going on, but this would be a great presentation for the future.
Thank you.
Agreed. Okay, and Commissioner Overman.
Thank you. I'd like to come back to the next board meeting, an action plan for communicating to the public what HART's needs are, as well as somewhat of not a complete strategic plan, obviously, because we're not ready for that, but basically what the plan is for outreach to the communities given each of the stakeholders are doing that now in order to explain the impact of investing in transit in our community. It could be in partnership with the county meetings, it could be in partnership with all the stakeholders, but I'd like to find out, see a presentation at the next meeting on what that looks like. So, thank you.
Thank you. Because of what's been going on at the BOCC, I'll just, maybe I should have said this in the CEO's report. And you don't know whether it's staff contacting HART to be part of those meetings. I know it's been a discussion at the BOCC to be part of the community meetings that are scheduled, the town halls. That I know I specifically, that staff at the county have brought that up with Ms. LeGrand, but I also brought up with Ms. LeGrand and asked if we could have, a staff present and have some kind of display and some presentation ready at those. And Ms. LeGrand has already been working on that and had already kind of been in process with the county on that, just to let you know. So, but, it would be, we could see what that is going forward in the community. That would be helpful. That would be good for us to know, obviously. I don't know if there's any other new business.
There is new business, and our agency counsel is at the podium to present that.
And that's Mr. Beasley, right?
That
Yes,
is
ma'am.
correct.
Right. Good morning, Madam Chair and fellow board members. This morning's new business item concerns a company-funded 401A investment plan that was created back in 2008. Unfortunately, in looking at the plan, staff has uncovered that there are two critical issues with this investment plan, which actually happens to remain in effect today. Number one is this plan, when it was created back in 2008, was not brought before the board for approval. Secondly, there is no signed benefit plan, which essentially renders this plan defective. We don't have a qualified plan, so at this point, staff would be seeking a motion to, number one, take the steps to unwind and dissolve this defective 401A investment plan, and of course, pay all costs associated with that. And then number two, we would seek authority to take all the steps necessary to create a new and valid investment plan. Are there any questions?
No, but it's become readily obvious why it's great to have a super CEO and staff.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So seeing no other questions, we don't need to have a vote or anything. It's just a presentation to let you know, to make the board aware of this issue.
I think he does
Madam
need an
Chair, we
action
need a
of the
vote.
board.
Oh, we do need
Yeah,
it?
because
Yes.
we're asking for
We're asking for a
board
motion.
approval to dissolve the existing unrecognized by the IRS fund, and then approval to go after and find.
Thank you. I misunderstood in, I think, our conversations back and forth. Okay. So, do we have a motion with regards to this? Yes, go ahead, Ms.
Well, currently, the funds are being held in trust, so we were seeking to dissolve it. Of course, those funds could then be taken out and, moved to an appropriate plan.
Okay, Commissioner Smith?
So I have similar questions about process. This is not on the agenda. This is not in any way transparent to our employees, the public, us. I was not briefed that this would be put up for a vote. I just, again, I'm not able to vote for something that is coming forward in this way. I like with the previous issue, I'm open to voting for it and hashing it out the next time it comes around, but I am no way going to vote for this without any backup, not an agenda item, no briefing.
Can I ask a question? Is there a time frame associated with this need for an action?
Yes, if I may just briefly explain. Number one, as I said, that the plan is not effective, it's not a valid plan, and because it is a company-funded investment plan, we have some concerns with the company continuing to pour money into something that's not valid. So for that reason, that's why it was brought with this type of notice.
Yes, Director Johnson, you're recognized.
So, Mr. Beasley, how long have we known about this?
It was just recently verified.
Define recently, please.
Within the last couple of weeks, it was brought to my attention that we confirmed that there was no signed plan. There were questions previously as to whether or not the plan was valid, but it was not valid. It was not verified until recently.
So here's my problem, and I'm going to agree with Commissioner Smith again about this. This is the second big item, or to me, I think is a very important item that we are finding about right now. No, not a call, not anything to back up. Look, I appreciate Ms. LeGrand's expertise when it comes to what she is doing, but this is the kind of stuff that really irritates me. I think that we are here to be able to make sure that decisions like these are vetted properly and to make sure that this is going to be a transparent process. When I'm being asked to be able to come in and dissolve our program or, talk about, I guess, not even a valid program that we have, I think that's a big problem for us to be able to address and ask for a motion today to be able to go after.
May I address? So I understand the frustration, but this is something that I was not engaged in. Because my money is in this plan, I was not involved in the conversations or the agenda item associated with this 401A plan. So I know Mr. Beasley and Ms. Mandel have been working with outside counsel. At least that's what I've been briefed. That's as much of the detail that I know that was brought to my attention last week, that, this needs to be something that was brought before the board. My understanding in hearing the report today, this has been this way since 2008. So I don't know what an additional month or 5 more years of putting money in the wrong plan will do. So I don't know how urgent it has to be, but I did think it was important when they brought it to my attention that the board was at least knew what was going on. But deliberately, I've been kept out of the process just because my money is in there as well, and they didn't want it to come across as though I was, a part of a decision to do something with funds that also are attributed to my account.
Well, then my next comment that I would make then, I'm disappointed that Ms. Mandel representing the board for us, that we didn't hear anything about this. And maybe I'm I'm not interpreting the procedure the correct way, but I would hope that we would have gotten a heads up on this beforehand.
Well, I will say that I was not made aware that we needed an action today, but that's really not the point. The point is it's a very limited plan. It was discovered some period of time. It was, I don't want to say discovered, that's the wrong terminology. A concern was raised and we needed experts to look at it. That being said, I hear what you're saying. My recommendation is not taking action today. Let us brief you off the record on this. I think that's more appropriate for us to do it that way. And if we need another action, we'll bring it back at the next meeting.
And I would appreciate, and I also want to thank Mr. Beasley for actually going through and finding these kind of things. It's important that, something as important as this, that we have the ability to be able to know what's going on. And, and now that you're here, Mr. Beasley, I appreciate you bringing this up. Certainly want to be able to get a little bit more information before taking a vote, though. That's my opinion on it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Everyone needs to wear their masks even when they're speaking.
With that, we don't need an action of the board, and I'm really going to recommend that we don't talk about this any further on the record, and let's brief everybody.
Okay, because, I just thought we were getting preliminary information at this time, and I didn't obviously understand this.
Yeah, that's why I think it's better now that.
And so I think that's better. How about if we then just conclude, and I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I was just going to make a recommendation that it's my understanding, future business is called future business for a reason. It's to bring something back to the board. So I would, just for legal interpretation, if need be, that we follow that protocol accordingly. So if, for example, in the future, there's something that has some urgent need, it needs to get on the agenda. So I'm just going to suggest that is for future business, that be the protocol that we assume, and also verify in our board policies that that's very clear. So thank you.
Right, and again, I think we have some new staff, and yes, I thought it was new business, just kind of a heads up for the future meeting, but with regards to the status. So seeing no further comments at this time, no new business, we will adjourn.